Oh, Marlon, look up.
Goodness, we're live. We're live.
We're live.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to 15 Minutes of Murder Wednesday Night Live, where we just come in, just chat with you, shoot it up with whatever's going on in the news. I got some updates. I know Des has some updates, but I am one half of your host, Tanisha Slater. This is Craig Chapman and our resident crime expert.
Desiree Edwards.
Welcome,
The
welcome, welcome.
I found something in my corner. Craig, are you over there doing production magic?
Oh,
Why? What do you see?
It's
what's
it
going
it,
on?
it says YouTube over here. Did you put that there, Craig?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
I can't see it because
I'm looking.
my whole setup is crazy this week, but we won't talk about that.
okay, I got
I
you.
can't wait to see it.
I
Yeah,
don't see it. I don't see it on my end.
Oh,
I go over there
well,
about it.
I might well then
Or Des
that's
is seeing
scary.
stuff.
Wait, that's scary because is it really there? Am
You're
I
the
like,
only one. You're the only one. You're the only one.
whoa,
So
whoa.
what's going on, everybody? How you doing today? Des, how was your week this week?
Um, Obviously it's been busy and crazy enough to where I'm sitting here seeing things
Oh,
that y'all don't see. I didn't put it there.
wow.
No, it's been a very busy week. It's been one of those weeks to where work has been demanding. And I've had to do a lot of recharging to kind of push people through over humps and things like that. So it's been a typical day's week and making sure that I'm taking care of myself in between those stops in the road.
Craig over there ghosting again.
Not again.
Once
Yeah.
again, you and your
So
fancy stuff
what
can't
about what about you,
handle
T?
what in the world? Yeah, I've just been, doing all the things, working on all the projects. And
A new one, right?
oh yeah, I start a new project on Monday, a new television project. I'm not going to drop any details yet, but it's going to be a fun one. It's based in Atlanta and working with somebody who I love, love, love for their company. So I can't wait to tell y'all that too. Because y'all don't know that part. So
Well, T, you always got mysterious stuff going on. We never know what you be working on,
I'm excited.
ever.
I'm excited. I can't wait. I just worked on the casting flyer, and so just waiting on approvals for that, and then I'll be dropping that soon. But
And
I actually start on Monday.
and then do we get to share this casting flyer and all of that kind of stuff?
Yes, please, please do so. So all my AT aliens come out, come out. But I won't give any more details. Out not till
Okay.
next week's Wednesday night live.
All right.
Next
Well,
week.
hurry up and change the subject before I start asking
I know,
questions.
I know. I have some stuff. Y'all know if y'all watch the Wednesday night lives, my fam here, they know. Craig and Des know that I'm like still like on this Nancy Guthrie. Like I can't stop. I can't stop. And I came across something that blew my mind. Craig is gonna link it in
I'll
comments or the description or something.
post.
Listen
I'll do
somewhere
post.
so people can watch this because I watched it once last week and then I watched it again a little while ago. But it was basically talking about how like elder abuse in
Mm.
in the way of power of attorney. So what I did not know, and maybe I'm the only one who didn't know this, but the night before she went missing and before that the pacemaker was pulled offline or whatever, do y'all know she made a call around 6 or 7 o'clock at night to her lawyer or her attorney, who she had an urgent meeting with on Monday, a urgent meeting on Monday, but this meeting couldn't wait until Monday. She called them Friday night and was like, I found something. I don't feel comfortable and I need to speak with you tomorrow. I need to make changes. She
Ooh.
needed to make changes. to her will, her power of attorney, because money was turning up odd. And what I liked about this documentary, not the documentary, but it was like a little piece, the pieces that people do, it was talking about to understand like who Nancy Guthrie is. It's like, don't think of that woman, the frail 80 something year old woman that went missing that night. They put together who this woman was. At 46, she lost her husband, lost the double income, three kids, had to take care of these women. She never remarried. She lived on her own in this house for 30 something years by herself. She wasn't like, oh, woe is me. We look at her as like, oh, it's Savannah's mom and the little frail mom that comes on like, oh, daughter. Like she raised that woman to be who she is and the strong woman. And Savannah always, spoke about how strong her mom was. But I didn't really know Nancy Guthrie like that and how she was like, as one of her friends quoted, or a police officer, somebody quoted saying that she was sharp as a tack. She wasn't somebody who was like, I don't know where I put my glasses, like I am at 50. This woman was with it, and she was with it enough to know that her finances, something was not right. And not she wanted to fix, she wanted to take back control of something that she noticed. And she noticed it mid-January. She mentioned it to a friend mid-January that something was off with her money.
Remind me, when did she go missing?
January 31st, the night of January 31st.
Okay, so she went missing approximately 2 weeks after she noticed something was amiss.
But exactly the night she made a phone call to the
Phone
lawyer.
call to her lawyer. So whatever this was, she had enough wit to be on top of it. Boom, 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 and now she's missing.
Now, disclaimer, I wasn't really paying too much attention to who posted this or is this information correct or legit or what have you, but this is through the grapevine. But you could watch it yourself, and it seemed to be lining up with everything. And guess who had power of attorney according to this video? The son-in-law.
Hmm.
I forget which son-in-law,
Well,
It don't matter.
but it doesn't matter. What did Kirsten
It
say?
don't matter which
uh,
one.
What's out,
Kirsten,
girlfriend?
Kirsten said, "How legit is this though? Why wasn't it widely reported? And do we know who the POA was?"
Power of attorney.
Yeah, the son-in-law.
The
I'm thinking
son-in-law.
it's going to be the not Nancy's husband.
But this is what I will say. So, okay, I feel the point that Kirsten has just made. Whether that those statements that T is making right now are legitimate or not, so far, what we know fits that. What it fits that the call is coming from within the house.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I mean there was something else too that I looked at right before it was a little notification that popped up on my phone of
Mhm,
something else right before I went live and I couldn't even look at it. I was like, darn it, I can't do it because I'm on my phone. Yeah.
mhm. I feel again, whether it is, complete and explicit accuracy, I feel that there is a level of truth there because again, the how do we get around the fact and I appreciate her being this strong-willed sister girl that you just described her as, but the truth of the matter is to an outsider, and no offense to anyone, she's a little old lady,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
right? And so, who just randomly runs into a house and kidnaps a little old lady
Mm, yeah. Without knowing the insides and out of why you're kidnapping this little old lady. You gotta
without why you're
number one,
kidnapping her?
her daughter is famous. She's not famous. So she doesn't have this abundant amount of money, but it was said that, the house is paid off, $800,000 it was worth, something like that, and that she's got assets, Social Security, all these things that you accumulate as, an elderly person all your life saving and doing, doing all the right things and investing your money right. But that the power of attorney has the ability to take loans out against your house, do things with your money, invest, take out, put investments, switch money around, move money around. You have the power. You can go in there and do these things. And somebody like Nancy wouldn't know unless she gets something in the mail stating, oh, this was moved from your account. Or if she, or if she notices and she clocks her money like she was doing and realize something is not right. There should be more money in this. There should be more
Well,
money.
I just feel that either way it goes, if the people who abducted her are strangers, they are idiots.
Yeah.
If the people who are within the family abducted her, they're probably even more idiots because what will happen is no banks, no insurance companies, none of that are going to start releasing any funds, any assets related to this woman if there is still this level of suspicion where what has happened to her and this stuff behind her has gotten so deep that even if the police clear everyone from this, you better believe that these insurance companies finna dig deep into this. And they gonna make sure because insurance companies don't want to pay nothing.
I think
And
it's
so
close. I think we're close to finding out what happened to this.
yeah, and that's what it's gonna
Why
be.
it's
And
so
I
hush.
think we're going to get down to the bottom of this through financial
Yep.
transactions
Yep.
and legalities.
Say that
Kind of
much.
just like kind of just like in the court. Let's go back to like a OJ Simpson where he was found not guilty in the court of law, but a whole lot of more information came out in like his civil suits. So that's why even when you see situations where people are claiming that somebody SA'd them and maybe they didn't press criminal charges, they will go with the civil suit because that way not only are you finna pay me for, for this damage, but now more information gets to come out. And that's what's going to happen with this. Somebody is going to try to cash in an insurance policy, and the insurance company is finna line everybody up for a deposition, and we gonna that's how we gonna find out what happened to this lady because ain't nobody finna pay for that. Nobody finna turn over a dime. So whoever did this for financial gain,
Yeah. Like just do
no.
stupidity.
Mm-mm.
And like you said, a stranger, it's weird though, because I go back and forth because a stranger is not going to visit the house a couple times. I mean, a family member is not going to roll up to the house and visit a couple times and get caught on camera. Like you know the layout, you know everything already. A stranger might do that, casing out, but also perhaps they were doing that to throw you off. Now I think
Ain't
about it.
that much throwing off.
No, but well, perhaps they're trying, this person goes up like with a mask on to make it appear like, oh, somebody was casing the place. You're gonna look outside, you're not gonna look inside. You know what I mean? Like,
I
oh,
do. And I know exactly what you mean. And that's what I'm saying about whoever has something to do with this is idiots because we don't think the police will see past that.
well, we have you're an idiot. Like, especially if you know Nancy and you know she's smarter than the average bear, and you think you're gonna slip one by on her, obviously something went wrong.
Yeah, and let's backtrack what I just said about the police. Well, obviously they ain't so bright because here we are, how many months later, and this is still a thing.
True, true,
It's
but
been it's been a while.
Yeah,
it
and
happens
every time
often.
we talk about this, I get so
Nah,
PO'd. Man, this make me so mad.
no.
This
Look,
really,
this woman was a single woman and she lost her husband. Her husband passed away. She raised her kids on as a single woman in this home. Strong woman, never was like, still did her routines, went to church, had her faith. You did not live this long for somebody to be, for you to exit like this. Like at this point, oh God, I hate to even
girl,
say it.
I want to, I want to say so many cuss words right now, y'all,
Like,
because
like
this don't make no sense. This don't make no sense at all.
Man, and like the way she was with her daughter is like that's like me and my mom. Do you understand what I would do? The town would be on fire. Like I'm not like so, like there I'm just mad.
Yeah, yeah. It is one of those situations that enrages. It don't even and it's a for me specifically, it's not so much of like a, oh, this is a
Mm,
horrible news story.
right.
This feels like if y'all don't take this woman back home where she belongs,
Yeah. I
what this feels like to me.
don't understand. Like I think it's naive, I guess, to believe this woman is still alive. But if she is, and y'all are that dumb to still be holding this woman because you don't know what to do yet, and it's bigger and it done got bigger, then I don't know. I don't know. But it was definitely interesting. I've watched a lot of different angles, about the husband and his band and the bandmate and like all of that stuff. But and I was like, yeah, okay. But this one that I watched that Craig's linking to this live, I was like, I could see that. And
The link is in there for
they
people
were
to
talking
watch.
about how the phone call that Nancy made to the attorney was released, not publicly, but to the police officers, but there was only like three sentences that could be pulled that were clear, and that it was something is not right. I need to meet tomorrow. Like something, if you call, and she called after business hours. So she knew she was going to leave a message. She knew she needed to get this, that it was urgent. You had an appointment on Monday. What's so urgent that you can't wait till Monday? You now need to make it happen tomorrow on a Saturday.
And I definitely understand the point that you're making with that because what's today? Today is now Wednesday. So like Monday and Tuesday, I was making phone calls to witnesses to schedule phone calls later on into this week. And so what I always do is say, okay, I got us down for Thursday at 3 p.m. Here is my business card. Please feel free. Don't hesitate to call me if there is anything that you need to discuss with me before. So that is just part of my regular dagler
Please, thank you.
practice.
I was going to correct you.
That's just part of my regular dagler practice, my standard when I am scheduling my appointments. And guess what, y'all? No one ever does call me before. They never do. So as you're saying that, it sounded, urgent that she will call. But then I was like, wait a minute, Des, you do that every single day.
Mhm.
And so much so, and before I'm getting off the phone, I say, well, before we get off the phone right now, is there anything that we need to talk about briefly? And they'll be like, no, we can wait till Thursday. So yeah, like that phone call before that appointment, I can't remember that ever coming.
Mhm.
The only question that comes to my mind throughout this discussion is if she is still alive, what are the options? Do they leave her on the side of the road? Do they drop her off in front of a police station?
Well, she's going to talk.
I know, I'm just saying, like, what what would normally happen in a situation like this? They find her somewhere, maybe.
I would think that you would wait for the dust to settle and do just that, like drop her off at her own darn house in front of her house and pull her. I don't know.
Ain't no dust gonna settle on this.
No,
Mm.
it's not really, but an idiot would think so.
Yeah, ain't no dust gonna settle on this. This gonna always be an issue. Like we're always gonna be angry about this. Um, and I think that the best thing someone can do, because if this is our collective rage, for this again, not to be disrespectful, but to just really put it in perspective of what it is. If this is our collective rage about this little old lady that don't none of us know, and it's only been a matter of a few months, imagine how angry we're going to be if it continues, because I already thought that it was going to wear off by now.
Mhm.
I thought that it was going to be some Nancy Guthrie fatigue, and that seemed to not be happening.
As I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, they threw that, I forget his name, but the face of the police, the task force there. They threw him to the wolves up there, just stumbling and fighting with media, asking questions. I mean, that's typical. We're going to ask questions. They want to know just as well as Nancy, as Savannah wants to know what happened to my mom. What happened to this woman? So yeah, we're gonna ask all the dumb questions that he kept saying. That's a dumb question. But it's just like, why parade and put that out there like that, knowing that you know more than we know, but there's this like chaotic, like
But
she's
he may
missing.
not know more than we know.
I don't know.
Kirsten, one of the viewers at home, uh, said, sadly, I don't think she was ever meant to come home, especially if she knew the person who took her.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, the person really didn't have that long to devise a plan because it was mid-January that she told a friend this, and then by January 31st, they snap into action. How solid could your plan have been?
Well, just as
That's
you're listening,
the
just as you're saying that, T, it is reminding me of remember the story of Tara, where it was her mom was like, what she told Tara told her mom to come pick me up by noon if I'm not here. And then Tara went missing around like 11:45 or 11:50 that morning. Listening to you talk, it gives me that very similar vibe of someone within her unit knew that time frame and went and made the decision to act accordingly based upon the time frame that they knew as being a village member of hers.
Now again, another disclaimer. Like I said, Craig linked it, you can watch it, whatever. But if you think about it, she she placed this call at around 6, 7:30. That means that she was at the family's house when she made this call because they dropped her off at 9:30 at the house. So she wasn't home when she made this call. She would have been with the family when she made this call to the
So
lawyer.
she probably was sitting around them people like, Man, if y'all don't give me a attorney, hello, I'm over here swimming with sharks. These people don't mean me no good.
If she thought it was internal, she could have thought that maybe she was hacked or it was some outside like, why is my money like this? The institutions are messing up my money. And she wasn't even thinking because they're all in her face. Oh, Miss Nancy. Oh, Miss Nancy.
something something in that house where she was visiting with her family tipped her off, and whether it was them acting weird to her that made her afraid enough for her to contact her attorney, or it was something more innocent where she alerted to her family and they were like, "Oh, mom, maybe you need to call your attorney." But if either of those scenarios happen, again, we're talking about her family knows what happened to that woman.
That makes me even more mad. I don't want to think that. I couldn't imagine.
Because if it was an innocent, oh yeah, mom, like I don't know, something is going on, maybe you should contact your attorney. Why y'all haven't told that to the police? Because that's a tip for the police to follow up on.
That's what I'm saying. Like like if she told a friend, I'm sure that they spoke to everybody who she had spoken to within the month before they even released, oh, Nancy Guthrie is been missing and we have this footage or blah blah blah. Like they would have spoken to these people. Like the lawyer, oh, and the lawyer didn't know. Supposedly the lawyer called Nancy back the next day to speak about it, and that's when he found out what happened to her because she wasn't answering her phone.
Mm.
So
Well, moving on, shall we?
I guess.
To because we have a few cases we want to talk about
We
tonight.
do you. Sorry, I monopolized with my Miss Nancy.
No, I mean, it's recurring. I mean,
Yeah.
there's always, it seems like every week a reason to talk about it.
Mm.
It makes me so.
What do you guys want to talk about next? I was thinking about our singer man, David,
Oh, maybe.
Oh,
or more P Peterson case stuff.
Oh, yeah,
What are
Scott.
y'all vibing on more?
I want to know about what's going on with Scott.
well, so I don't think it's so much new stuff that's going on with Scott Peterson as much as it was, because let's run it back to our viewers. So last week on Wednesday Night Live, someone asked us a question, a viewer asked us a question about Scott Peterson. And so just off the fly, we started talking about Scott Peterson and his deceased wife, Laci. And so I started digging back into it because this was a situation that happened back in 2002. And so y'all know me, I put pieces together and I was like, wait a minute, it may be some of our viewers weren't even alive when that case happened, right? Like they don't even, when we're talking about Scott Peterson, Laci Peterson, these young people are like, who, what? Um, so for the young people who don't know nothing that we talking about, so Laci Peterson was a pregnant woman in the Modesto, California. She was married to a man named Scott Peterson. She, at the time of her disappearance, if I guess she would have been like somewhere between 7 and almost 9 months pregnant. And she came up missing. And during this investigation of her being missing, it turned out that her husband, who had a history of having affairs on her during the duration of their marriage, and they hadn't been married long, maybe 2 years or so. And it was one of them situations where they met while they were in college. She may have been a little bit older than him because I think she graduated first. Once you get to college, that kind of stuff don't really matter, but she graduated before he did. They got married. She became a substitute teacher. He went on to work for a fertilizing company. And that part is important because, like, he worked out of this warehouse. And the investigators believe that it is in this warehouse that he did a lot of the harm that they accuse him of doing to Nancy. I'm sorry. See what I'm talking about? See how I'm still mad about this woman? To the
Mm.
stuff that he did to Laci. So, and I was telling y'all how, like, now as a private investigator, like, I find it more fascinating because at the time when I was watching it and consuming it, I was just, watching it from home like everyone else. But some stuff really stood out to me. And one of them was that when she went missing from, her suburban home, what first alerted people that she was missing is that her dog was found wandering the neighborhood with his collar and leash still on. So, and like y'all know me and how about Dutch my dog. Like
Mhm.
just now as having having my baby, I can't if y'all were ever, and this is to the whole world, if y'all ever see Dutch outside and I'm not with him,
So yeah,
I'm a goner.
yeah,
Especially with the leash on. I've had dogs that got loose or whatever. Obviously, they would have their collar on probably, but
Hmm.
to have a leash on, they're
yeah.
about to go on a walk for sure.
And that's what it was. It was supposedly that she was out walking the dog, and the dog is a golden retriever.
Sweet.
No one has their your
That,
golden.
that's the
Were
dogs
you
that like will find. Wasn't there like an old lady that was missing for a couple hours and the golden retriever found her somewhere? I mean, they're really good
Well,
dogs.
yeah, that's in his name, retriever. So if we
Yeah.
just sit here and just like use our context clues, that kind of tells us that that breed of dog was used to retrieve stuff. So yeah, Craig, I don't know the story that you're talking about, but that makes sense that that breed of dog would do that.
Hmm.
So, and then a golden retriever, that's like somebody's baby. And so to have this dog just wandering about with a collar and a leash still on, I can only imagine the panic. So one of her neighbors found the dog just wandering about with no Laci and put the dog in the backyard of the home. Scott Peterson had told several people that day and allegedly told Laci that he was going golfing. So um part of why that would not, because it's close to Christmas too, like who's going golfing, right now around Christmas time. But they're in California. I'm sure the weather was still pleasant, but also he originally had dreams of being a professional golfer. So it was one of those things where he wanted, see this chuckle that you just, so
Oh,
yeah, he wanted to be, listen y'all, so he
here we go.
had
What do you
plans.
want to be, people?
He wanted to be a professional golfer, but his version of the story is he gave up on that dream to be a husband and a family man. So yeah,
I'm sorry.
yep. So he ended up working for a fertilizer company. But before he started with the fertilizer company, and see, I want to go back to Nancy. He and Laci purchased a sports bar. They ended up selling the bar or whatever. Yeah. So he tells them that he's out golfing. Laci supposedly took this dog out for a walk. The dog is found without Laci, collar on, leash on. So now, when the police start questioning everyone and they talk to Scott Peterson, Mr. Professional Golfer, guess what he tells them? That
Hmm.
he was out fishing.
Oh, that's right. That long ass fishing trip.
It's a big difference from going golfing.
Yep, big old difference. Big old difference. So, they're like, okay, whatever, Mr. Golfer, fisherman, whatever. So he's now a suspect. And again, this is something where I'm saying like a lot of this stuff has a different value from my investigator lens than it had before. So not only was he suspicious because of bro, you lying, but the police were suspicious of him because they were a little bit thrown off by his calm, cool demeanor and his lack of questioning. He wasn't like, well, will you call me back? It was just a strange combination of polite and arrogant. And then they go on to further describe that. And I was kind of thinking, like, and we talked about this a few times on our show, like now that we know about neurodivergence and people who are autistic and how people, may process stuff differently. And I was kind of like, maybe that now knowing what I know, maybe that's not a fair assessment to automatically throw him out as a suspect, right? But it keeps going. All right, y'all. So, Laci goes missing December 23rd. Scott met a woman named Amber Fry November 20th, so like a month before. And so the police are alleging that whatever this woman had going on with Scott, that Scott killed his wife to be with this woman that he had only known for a month.
Mm.
So, and they believe that he planned Laci's
Not just
demise.
your wife, that's your pregnant wife. So
That's your pregnant wife. That's your pregnant. And she was so pregnant that if she would have gone into early labor at that moment, the baby probably would have lived with the proper medical care and treatment and stuff. So the police believe that she that Scott was planning to kill Laci 2 weeks before she came up missing. And what they found to support that is that he bought a whole bunch of like concrete and cement mix and stuff like that 2 weeks before Laci went missing. So now let's fast forward to now when Laci is found. Laci is the baby is body was washed up because apparently whomever did this to her dumped her in a body of water. So the baby's body washed up. They said that the baby was found with minor decomposition. He had mutilations on his body and some kind of nylon cord wrapped around his body. Laci was found. Her body was bloated. Now let me pause because this is one of the things that I vividly remembered last week. Connor just let me finish. Laci's body was found bloated. She was missing her head, her arms, and most of her legs. Her internal organs were also severely decomposed. She had some cracked ribs, some cracked neck bones. Her missing head and limbs led to rumors that Scott had dismembered her. But the medical examiner said that there were no signs of cutting. So remember this warehouse and remember this cement that I said he purchased? What the investigators believe is that he weighted her down and that all of that cement that he purchased that cement to make anchors. So he tied the anchors to her body parts. And um, as time went away, the violent currents and all of that kind of stuff, her body parts were ripped from her body. And in her decomposition state, the the gases in her body and the bloat in her body expelled the baby from her body. And as the water is washing away the baby from her body, the water is also washing away her internal organs. She was found, y'all. So she went missing in December. Her body was found in April. So her family is going through months and months of agony of trying to find this woman and this child that she was carrying, only for them to find her months later in this state. So investigation continues. Scott, then they done found him, y'all. He done dyed his hair. They found him at a golf course because he's the professional golfer. They found him at the golf course with his brother and his dad. Y'all.
I mean, I don't
And
really know what I was thinking too when happened when I was watching. I'm like, what do you do with yourself when something that tragic happens to your pregnant wife and these things happen? Like, where do you, who knows how you
Right.
process?
Yeah. Yeah. And in the vehicle that they found, because remember I said that he dyed his hair.
Mm,
So in the vehicle that they found, his vehicle was packed with equipment and supplies, including $15,000 in cash, Viagra,
because that's what you, I mean, you can't be without that.
and your wife and your unborn baby just been washed up, and you got some Viagra. Okay, I'll continue. Camping and survival equipment, several changes of clothes, 4 cell phones, and 2 driver's licenses.
Mm, okay. Can we say guilty
Well, we
based on
finna get to that. We gonna get to that.
that's what
So all of this mess, and he went to court. He was tried, convicted, not just found guilty, not just convicted, but he was sentenced to death row. Appeals were made, all that kind of stuff. His uh his death sentence was commuted to life in prison. And as we mentioned before, here comes the Innocence Project. Now, with all of that mess that I just said, let me explain what the Innocence Project
laid
is.
out pretty strong. I got,
So, the Innocence Project is a network of Innocence Project. So they're essentially embedded in generally prestigious law schools. And what is it is a network of law students, attorneys, prosecutors, and other experts that typically only consider and take on cases where someone is claiming innocence. And they will only do work on those cases if they perceive that someone has assure, like, this is some innocence that we need to consider. So what the Innocence Project claims is that someone else have did this to Laci and her baby. And one of the first theories that they throw out is that there was some burglaries going on in the community. It was Christmas time, maybe people like to break into people's houses, who knows. But the theory is Laci witnessed
mm,
something. Now, kind of along with what we're talking about with Nancy, you have a pregnant woman, big old bulging belly, and you gonna take this pregnant woman and do all kinds of
mm.
ungodly things to her because she done witnessed you breaking somebody's house and steal the TV during Christmas time. Like that's what we would do. Where did T go? We lost T.
Yeah, I don't know.
So the Innocence Project also came up with some new witness statements, um that it may have been someone else who did this to Laci. They have come up with and requested that the prosecutor turns or well, that the prosecutor runs DNA testing on 14 items, including a mattress with blood stains, a hammer, a glove, and some duct tape.
Hmm. Kirsten was just mentioning that, one of the viewers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then along with that, and this was what was interesting to me, is that sometime in late 2024 into 2025, a judge granted access to dozens of pieces of previously undisclosed evidence for further testing. So, as a defense investigator, my question with that is, where was that stuff at? What do they mean it was undisclosed? Like, did the prosecutor not turn that over to the defense attorney and for it to be considered and tested then? And the legal ramification, and this might be really where the Innocence Project is kicking in at, is because we just in this just in this coverage right now, we done kind of said a whole lot of stuff that sounds fishy for
Mm,
Scott Peterson.
yeah.
But if this evidence was not turned over and not tested, this stuff alone, whether he did this or not, is grounds to have his conviction overturned. This stuff will be considered as Brady violations because what has to happen is that the prosecutor must turn over all of the evidence. And if they haven't, like I just said, that in itself is grounds to turn over this conviction, maybe get a new trial, or maybe even have this man freed and have the whole thing thrown out. So that I say all of that to say, with everything that we just said with Scott Peterson, this one thing right here makes it make more sense to me why the Innocence Project is hanging on to this the way that they are.
Because of this evidence that was not admitted.
Because right.
Okay.
And not just admit it, because evidence cannot be admitted all the time. Like if the prosecutor and the defense attorney both know of a piece of evidence and they choose not to admit it as evidence, okay, I get that. That's an agreement. But you cannot have the prosecutor, it is their job, it is their duty to turn over evidence to the defense. And if they do not, we have a huge matter of fact, if this is Scott Peterson and it turns out that this undisclosed evidence could be Brady material, which essentially is the legal term for material that can prove your innocence. Scott Peterson finna sue somebody. At least he better. So it all makes sense to me why the Innocence Project is hanging on to this the way that they are. Because see, prosecutors just get lazy because prosecutors will say, "Oh, we got this, and this," and get kind of ahead of themselves and feel we don't need to submit this or we don't need to follow that because it's ironclad. But small things like this, holding on to stuff, not getting stuff tested, that can take something where someone could view as an ironclad case against Scott Peterson to now being like, wait a minute, redo this. This ain't right. Matter of fact, release that man.
So you're thinking the Innocence Project is involved because of these things that the undisclosed information.
Correct. Because what the Innocence Project does is that they base the projects and the cases that they're working on based upon the DNA. So if you have 14 items including a mattress with blood stains, a hammer, glove, and duct tape. And then there are dozens of pieces of previously undisclosed evidence that we're now asking to be tested. Then, yes, it is some serious concerns about running this back. And was this a fair persecution?
So then they have to be absolutely like confident that this is not just a botched case, but that this other evidence will prove without a shadow of a doubt that someone else did it, not that
Correct.
they fumbled evidence and Scott gets to be free on a loophole based on, oh, well, you didn't test this evidence, even though this evidence doesn't clear you because it wasn't tested. Now you have to throw out.
Right, because that untested stuff, not only is it, um neat because if obviously this is a DNA heavy case, right? So you have all of this stuff that is not tested for DNA, then that leaves holes into the plot against, well, holes in the theory against Scott's guilt because y'all ain't test everything.
But then they could test it, and then if truth is told, comes out that it's not damning enough to have Scott be innocent, then it could backfire.
Well, but see, then you still have that one issue of Brady material in your back pocket that I was talking about, which is it is within the prosecutor's duty to turn over evidence. So whether that evidence comes out that Scott did it or not, a defense attorney will still claim that you violated his Brady rights. Because at the time of trial, we did not have access to those things. So at the very minimum, you owe us a retrial.
But then it's possible that that's the loophole that
Yep.
sets a guilty man free.
It could be that. Because what one of the things that we always talk about is the court system is not necessarily built upon whether you are guilt or innocent, or whether you, let me scratch that, whether you did it or not. It's not whether you did it or not. It is if we can
Proof.
prove that you did it or not. So people are walking around all the time within our justice system who are guilty as sin. Like they did that all day, but the prosecutor has to prove that.
Mhm.
And I, again, part of my job, one of the things that I'm sometimes hired to do is to go in and interview jurors after they have made their verdict. And a whole lot of times that we had to find him not guilty because the prosecutor did not prove their case as charged.
It's kind of a messed up system we have, kind of.
I mean, there's
What is
also the reverse of that too, where there's innocent people who are in prison.
right? Yep. Because and that's why it is a difference between guilt and innocent and if you did it or not. Because I could have not done this, but depending on where the prosecutor's investigation went, they may be able to prove that I did it even if I did it. Number one, the police are allowed to lie to people.
But yeah.
So if they are investigating something that I did, if I harmed Tanisha, and the cops go and talk to Craig and they lie to Craig and it's like, yeah, we heard Dez on the phone with Alex and she was saying how she hate Tanisha and da 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 da. Craig is missing his friend. So that makes Craig susceptible to the suggestions of this investigation to what happened to his friend.
Hmm.
So Craig may say, "Yeah, I remember that one time, and we were Des text me outside of our group chat. She never does that." They may take that and run with that.
Mhm.
That is me trying to eliminate you.
It's scary what can be pinned on you based on, because I'm guilty. I'm sure we're all guilty of saying some crazy things when we're just joking around with our friends about if I turn up missing, I know it's you, or if because I
Yeah.
informed you once, and then next thing you know, you turn up missing, and then that text happens, and then your friend goes down.
Or how many times have we said something about our parents, our kids, our romantic partners? Oh my God, I can't stand him. I just want to kill this man sometime. Or I
Yeah,
could just
that's
choke this woman.
a
Yeah,
daily yeah, thing
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if
It,
I say right here on this podcast right now, oh my God, Alex, get on my nerves. I could choke and he come up missing or hurt.
it's funny because you say stuff so freely, but in this day and age, like everything hears you. Everybody, like every device you own is recording something, clocking you somewhere. And the other day, my I went to go, I was at my mom's and I went to go check her mail, and in the not even 3 seconds that I went to go check the mail, I come back to open the door, and we always joke with each other. And I go to open the door, the chain locks on, and I'm like, "Mom, I'm gonna punch you." And she was
See?
like, "What?" And I'm in the hallway. So I'm like, "Yeah, 2 weeks ago, my mom had a black eye because she flipped and fell. And I just said that. So now people are thinking that I actually punched my mom."
And
Jeez.
they could. And that would really
And
be
like
like not
something
and
as
now
innocent and joking turns
yeah.
into
Mhm.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what becomes of all this because as we talked about it last week and this week, I feel like layers are being pulled back and it's starting to make more sense
Mhm.
in my
Mhm.
mind now, like the gravity of this.
Yeah. It was big. And I was watching T having her emotional reaction. And I remember that's how we all were at that time. And that's why, like last week, I was able to just like regurgitate that stuff because I remember. And not only do I remember, I'm old, I got all these kids. I'm thinking like I think part of my emotional attachment to this case was that I had either just recently had a baby or I was pregnant.
I mean,
Yeah.
just hearing it, I know of the case, obviously. I don't know the details,
Mhm.
but so hearing some of this, even if I've heard it before, is almost like hearing it again. And I was almost having the same reaction as Tanisha,
Yeah.
where I was like, this sounds like the most awful,
Yeah.
hellish,
There's
evil
something that
thing
was
ever.
different coming from you listening to a story that I've heard a million times, that you become desensitized to it because you're seeing it on the news, you're seeing Scott, you're seeing the blonde hair, you watch all the documentaries. But in that moment when you were talking about what happened to this woman and how that baby was brought into the world and it's just it was a different level of compassion and just the humanity that was stripped from her, the chance that that child did not have. And, you think of all, well, Scott was guilty, like they liked him for this. Um, and he may be guilty of being a cheater and a disgusting man, like your wife is pregnant. Like you met
Mhm.
this chick 2 weeks ago. It's Christmas time. Like you're golfing, no, you're fishing, like all these weird things. Now you're a blonde, like now you need
Yeah,
Viagra to travel and you
and
need
I and to make it even more of what you're saying, T, I believe, and you may remember this from that documentary, while they were looking for Laci, Scott remained in contact with this woman, and I think he was telling her like he was in Paris or something. Like, so it was like, sir, your baby.
no mention
And
of what's going on with Lacey.
yeah, and if the prosecutor is correct, you have weighted down your pregnant wife, tossed her out of a boat, and now you're on the phone with this woman talking about you're in Paris for the holiday.
Yeah. What is your mental like? I don't
And
yeah.
you have done these things again. If the prosecutor is correct and the jury found them to be, you have done all of these things to a woman who was carrying your child to be with a woman who already has a child.
Mm, yeah.
So you killed your wife and baby to go play
It is
daddy to
messed up
another.
on a whole other level. But you could be that messed up, but not be a killer.
Yeah, like
What you're about to
why is that the option? It's like, okay, you want to be with this other girl, be a horrible person, dump your wife, your pregnant wife, and go be with the girl.
Yeah.
Don't do these horrible
Like, deal with
things.
your consequences. You don't want to deal with that emotional baggage. Like, deal with your consequences. Do the right thing. I'm sure she'd rather still be here getting over you than not be here at all.
then I be here. And again, that whole parent part of me, you did this to your unborn child to go play daddy
Your
to
son,
somebody else's child.
the one that could, mm,
Yeah.
it's definitely going to be something to find out what
It'll be interesting to see what comes out of all of
Yeah,
this.
what
and I'm gonna
this kind of
go.
evidence is.
Yeah, and I want to watch that Netflix
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you're talking
I might
about, T.
actually
Yeah.
rewatch it. Because I'm older now. I tend to fall asleep on things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I may have seen maybe 3/4 of it,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll probably try and.
Yeah, but revisiting this, y'all, it was like, what?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think like you're saying, like with your private investigator mind and your understanding of criminal intent and all this stuff, like you've been through like with your career. I think watching this documentary, and the things that came out and even the interview with Amanda Fry, like there's a lot in that documentary that you're just like, wow, they're just
Yeah. I
Well,
don't know, y'all.
we are getting close to our time for Wednesday Night Live.
Oh,
We could extend it and talk a little bit more about our the other case that we want to talk about. We can hold it off until next week if you
man,
if you all want.
let's
yeah,
hold
we
this.
can. Yeah,
Laci,
we can hold that for next week because a whole lot of stuff is will probably begin to start unfolding about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Because
had a few
it's just
questions too for you, Des, about it.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just like things that I understand, but maybe questions to help our audience understand, maybe
Don't
is what
forget.
I'm
Are
getting
we?
at.
Is it okay for us to tell them who what case we're
Oh,
talking about?
yeah, I mean it's the singer. Is it David? Is that what he goes by? I know it's spelled D for VD,
His name is David.
David.
Yeah, and I don't know. Listen, I'm the old lady. I don't know what these kids talking about.
The
Well,
guy
so
that
he's
It's
the singer who was having some kind of relationship with
if you
with the
a
14.
teenager.
you're
Huh?
watching this and it's before next Wednesday, check it out. Deep dive into all the things. Join us next Wednesday and we'll just dig into it
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Yeah, because this is the look. I just know the surface level of it, and what I know, it's a nasty one.
Hmm. Yeah, it is.
It sounds horrible.
It's another one of those rage. Like, how
Yeah,
are you?
yeah, it
Well,
sounds like a nasty
And
one.
then you just, these people that are elevated have that kind of success that you always say, that power trip that gives you
Mhm.
that kind of mentality that you think the world is yours and you can pick and choose who you want to be in it with you. Or you're allowed to make mistakes and get away with them. How dare you? Like,
it's almost out of touch with reality.
yeah, like
I mean, and not that, we want to give anyone a pass for mistreating and unaliving anyone, but it's almost like the audacity of you. Like, we don't even know your name.
He's not
Like,
that famous. Yeah.
yeah, you haven't even gotten there yet to even feel a level of comfortability to do these things to people. Like you, at most, you're a D-list celebrity right now because even if you weren't, we would know your name. We would know what your name is and stylized as and all of that kind of stuff. We don't know none of that about you, and this is how you acting already.
Mm,
That's somebody's child. That girl 14, was she 14 years old?
She was, well, during the whole process, she was 13 and then turned to 14 at some point,
mm.
if I remember correctly.
We will definitely talk about it next week and we'll maybe even reveal like we were going to talk about this a couple weeks ago
Yeah.
Yeah.
before things when it kind of broke and it came out. And there was a little bit of a debacle and a reason why we pulled back on it. But partially for that D-list reason.
Yeah,
Um,
that's just,
but yeah,
ladies and gentlemen, we didn't know who this man was.
we'll talk about it. Well, I won't even tell you what I we'll talk about it maybe
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If we get started, we're not going to stop.
because
Man.
yeah. But anyway, everyone, thank you again for joining us on this Wednesday night. We go live every Wednesday night. We'll be here if you're here. We'll be here even if you're not here because you can also catch it uh on YouTube. You could join us here. You could join us on our Substack. You can go to our website, 15minutesofmurder.com. You can catch our podcasts on any of your favorite podcasts that you watch, Apple Music, Spotify, uh,
iHeart,
iHeartRadio, uh,
Amazon.
Amazon, all the things. To catch our overviews, we drop an overview of a case where we profile a case, and then the next week we do a deep dive and dig into that case and give more information and our thoughts and opinions. So if you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, leave us comments, join the conversation. Wednesday nights, we're here every Wednesday live. You can bring up anything you want to talk about, anything you want to ask us, any of the prior cases that we've done. We'd love, and Des is looking for somebody to disagree with her. So
Yeah.
bring some. These
And
are
one
all
one of the
trolls.
things, so T just said we got so much going on, and so this is what T left out is that our YouTube channel is live streaming.
It
So
is
you can always catch us on that bath time, relaxing time, cleaning up the house time,
all
cooking
speak
chicken and
to us.
fish time, all of that stuff that you're doing, you can do it while streaming us live.
Well, and then we've also got a segment that we're going to start trying to regularly post on Friday evenings, we think, called
We
Ask a
will.
PI. And
Yep.
that's where Des takes a question and breaks it on down now.
Be doing this, running my mouth.
Brrr.
Those are very informative, and I always learn
Yeah,
something every
always
time.
learning something.
Yep.
But I knew that about you the day I met you, woman.
Oh God. Craig, hurry up and push the button before she starts that
Okay.
mess.
Push the
Have
damn
a
button.
have a good night,
Good
everybody.
night, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.